How terrifying was the legendary Black Death? Europe, in the mid-14th century. A terrifying plague like the Grim Reaper's scythe claimed 25 million lives in just 6 years. The skin of the infected turned a strange bluish purple. Egg-sized swellings appeared under the armpits and in the groin, coupled with black spots covering the entire body. These formed the most terrifying marks of the plague, and the origin of this disaster can be traced back to a war in 1346. At that time, the Mongol army, then fighting Korea, was besieging the Black Sea port city of Kaffa when the bubonic plague suddenly broke out in the camp. Facing a general who wouldn't surrender, the Mongol commander, Janibeg, made a shocking decision to catapult the bodies of soldiers who died from the plague into the city of Kaffa. These foul-smelling corpses became the earliest biological weapons in history, quickly causing a plague outbreak within the city. Surviving Italian merchants fled by ship, carrying deadly bacteria to the Mediterranean coast, starting the Great Plague outbreak in Europe. Europe was in the Middle Ages then. Urban planning was chaotic. Sewage flowed through the streets, garbage piled up like mountains. Residents rarely bathed. They believed bathing opened pores. Even the church widely proclaimed that not bathing was a symbol of holiness. Under the dual influence of custom and the church, Europeans prided themselves on not bathing. Over time, this poor sanitation, perfect for rats and fleas to breed, provided a perfect breeding ground when plague ships reached Constantinople. After that, the bacteria spread across Europe at an alarming rate. October 1347, the epidemic broke out in Messina, Sicily. 4 years later, it spread to Marseille, France, and Barcelona, Spain. Landed in England in 1349, reached northern Europe in 1350. Florence's population fell by 81%. On the streets of London, thousands of bodies were taken out daily. The whole of Europe descended into a hellish scene. Facing this unprecedented disaster, Europe's medical system completely collapsed. Doctors followed the ancient Greek theory of humors, believing disease was from fluid imbalance. So they used bloodletting, inducing vomiting, even drinking urine as absurd treatments, actually accelerating death. The church's prayers were equally ineffective, so clergymen died in droves. The public's faith in religion began to collapse. In despair, people vented their anger on scapegoats. Jews, due to their emphasis on hygiene, had a lower mortality rate, were falsely accused of poisoning wells, and were brutally massacred. In 1349, 6,000 Jews were killed in Germany alone in one day. Similar atrocities occurred throughout Europe. In this catastrophe, a special group of healers stepped forward. French physician Charles de Lorme invented the beak-like plague doctor mask. The entire outfit included a waxed black robe made of oilcloth, leather gloves, and a cane. The beak was filled with camphor, mint, and other spices to filter the air. These beak doctors, despite limited medical knowledge, always stayed on the front lines of the epidemic, holding wooden sticks in their hands. To avoid direct contact with the infected, they went door-to-door checking on patients, trying various methods of treatment, including bloodletting, removing swellings, and even eating arsenic. Although these methods seem almost barbaric today, but at the time, they were people's last hope, the only last hope. Many doctors caught and died from the plague, but they still insisted on providing treatment, becoming the heroes in the darkness. The Black Death brought more than just death. It also triggered profound social changes. Europe lost 1/3 of its population, led to a severe shortage of labor. The feudal system gradually collapsed. Surviving workers received higher wages. And freedom accelerated the emergence of capitalism. Church authority collapsed during the plague. People questioned divine power's omnipotence. Humanism quietly rose, founding the ideology for the Renaissance. Public health awareness also awakened during the disaster. Early public health systems started in Nuremberg, Germany, etc., promoting cities to focus on waste disposal. Sewer construction and public baths became common until the 19th century. Scientists isolated the plague bacillus, revealing the truth about fleas as vectors of transmission. 20th century antibiotics finally made the plague no longer an untreatable disease. But those doctors wearing beak masks, their figures going against the tide in the darkness, are forever in humanity's plague battle history. The history of the Black Death warns us. The progress of civilization often comes at the cost of suffering. Desperate humanity's courage and wisdom will bring a brighter future.